Hi, my name is Sean Hopkins, and this is my lesson plan questions. I'm going to attempt to answer. So the first one is, how does the CSOE lesson plan template differ from others you have seen? Well, one of the first things for me that sticks out is that the CSOE lesson plan is very extensive. It looks like to me that um, it goes into more depth detail of a lesson plan, and it's also very more inclusive in terms of like working with kids with different type of special needs or gifted kids. Often in other lesson plans it's not as detailed as drawn out, as I would say this lesson plan is. So that was one of the first things that I've noticed. And I do feel as though it takes more of an effort to create the CSOE lesson plan than it would an average lesson plan that you would see for a teacher. For most teachers nowadays that I've seen, I feel like a regular lesson plan focuses on an object, an objective and more so like an assessment at the end, right? It's like usually those two target things that are being focused on. With the CSOE, I think it's encompassing everything in a more broader spectrum. That's what I would say about that question. What three sections of the lesson plan do you think you'll be challenging? Okay. So, got my notes. One of the sections I think will be challenging is assessment, right? Right off the bat, assessment is really challenging for me personally. Assessment is challenging because you're trying to measure different parts, right? Like, what are you actually assess? What are you actually assessing? What is actually the goal? And you have so many different types of students, so many different types of learning curves, right? So it may be hard to give an assessment to, this student who you feel is like you can meet right here versus this student, and you're like, you can give the assessment, but it's like, are they both really understanding, right? Are they both really reaching the actual goal of comprehension? Um, that's kind of subjective. So I definitely think assessment will be one of the challenging in one of the sections. The next one for me would be differentiation, right? Um, Differentiate just like understanding like the needs and challenging and just time. Like, what are we differentiation of so many things? So that's really challenging to narrow that down when you have so many things to narrow down, right? That's really challenging. The last thing would be the objective, right? I personally have a hard time narrowing down the objective of an assignment because it's one of those things, like I said and previously, everybody learns different. Um, and with an objective, I try to be as concrete as possible, so that I'm not losing anyone. And sometimes with an objective, it's really hard to, sort of give like a short statement, right? This is the objective, and sometimes I get long winded, which is one of my challenges. So that's why I feel like that will be challenging for me because sometimes I try to go into like too much grave detail of like, this is the target audience and we need to learn this and it, and then sometimes it doesn't need to be that complicated, right? It just needs to be clear and concise. So I feel like those are the challenges that like I would face. So that's the assessment, differentiation, and objective. Um, for each of those sections, what is the challenge? So as I said, for assessment, I think being stated like assessment, the challenging is like, even though I'm giving an assessment, when can I move on? Should I move on? Right? Those are the things that I'm questioning in my brain. And also like how much of a percentage should I move on? If it's like 40% or 50% of the class, scored this high, like, right, should I move on? Like, what is the competency level of the entire class before moving on until you feel comfortable? Those are one of the things that I struggle with. My next one will be the objective, as I stated, like being clear and concise with the objective is where I do struggle, where I'm trying to be more clear and concrete. And then last one is differentiation. Honestly, I need help. Like I'm like thinking about it, and I don't quite have. I know the challenge. I don't quite have a solution for that yet. So that's where I feel. I would need assistance. Yeah. So those are my answers. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.